to your Networth's network. I'm your host, Corey McNabb, and this is a networking podcast where we bring up special guests, let them talk about their lives, learn about them, about their business, and everything they're doing in life, and see how we can work together. Now, my goal in life is to rise to a place of excellence, and I want to bring you with me. That being said, let's bring up our special guest, Mr. Jamie Lozada.
Hey guys,
What's
my
up,
name.
Jamie?
What's up, Corey? How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Heck yeah, I
Well,
love to hear it.
let's just jump into this, man. So
Let's do
go
it.
ahead and tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Jamie Lozada. I got into real estate investing about a year or so ago. Been focusing a lot on learning to talk to people and get good at sales, basically. I'm working on a team here in Houston, Texas. We're doing a lot of buy and hold, some wholesale here and there, in the single family and multifamily space. We've got a team of people that we're trying to get their first deals in the Subto community. And yeah, I came on because Corey's posting up this awesome podcast, sharing some great info with you guys, and I was like, I got to be a part of that.
All right, all right. So you're working with a team in, you said Houston.
hmm
Are
Well,
you
I'm in
only
Houston, but we're doing deals in across the states right now.
Gotcha? So what all states are you doing deals in?
Yeah, right now we're focusing like Texas, of course, and then we have some in Nevada and Florida. But we're also still looking to expand where we can, but we're trying to put some roots in those markets right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's see. Trying to think of how to ask this question without already asking the questions that I'm planning on asking later. So, okay. So tell us a little about the team you work with. Are you buying? Are you wholesaling? Are you what's the main strategy there?
Gotcha. So as far as dispositions, we're doing a bit of both. If the property's in Houston and the hometown market, we're definitely trying to hold on to that property and add it to our portfolio. If it's outside of Houston, maybe in some like San Antonio, Dallas, or Florida or the Vegas markets, um, it at that point it just might depend. um for those markets it might make a bit more sense for another investor to step in, so we might wholesale it. But as we're expanding our markets, we're going to definitely be looking to buying and holding, but we do a bit of both: buy and hold here in Houston, and then wholesale out the other creative deals where we're acquiring a lot creatively. Not as much cash deals or fix and flips right now or anything like that.
Okay. And what is your role within the team?
Yeah, gotcha. So my role right now, again, I'm on the acquisition side, and we're doing a lot of direct to agent and trying to see if we can help them solve their clients' issue. So I'm on the front face, qualifying and disqualifying leads, and just trying to find people that might be a good fit for creative. And on top of that, with the Sub 2 community, they created an 18-minute challenge team. So that team I mentioned, we have, I think right now it's about 10 people that I lead. I help them with their calls with the agents, and, just trying to help them through the process of learning to progress the conversations and qualify and disqualify leads so they know who is good to work with. There's three team leads on this team, and then we have, I guess I like to call them the administrators. Are the guys that kind of put the team together, but that consists of people that have been through the whole process, that are like underwriters, they're closers, disposition managers, TCs, and all that fun stuff. But me personally, yeah, I'm on the acquisition side.
Okay. So you said you're a team lead. So
hmm
are you on the front lines with your guys calling all that, or are you kind of handling if one of your guys has an issue, you come in and handle whatever that issue is, or maybe both?
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's pretty much both. Because I still want to be on the phones right now. One thing that I'm trying to get really good at is talking to people because I grew up pretty shy and um I feel like I have outlet. I didn't grow up super personable. So that's something I really want to improve on. And I kind of use, my sales and just this as an opportunity to practice making friends with everybody. So I'm still on the phones myself, and then anybody that is making calls on the team, if they have questions about either their calls or how something in real estate works, or um, even just wants to share their experience with an agent, like, oh man, this guy was like cussing me out basically, and he said I was wasting his time and that all this stuff is a scam. It's like, we try to go through everything and make sure I'm pouring as much information that I know into, call them like our outreachers basically. um, so yeah, I'm doing both. I'm making calls and I'm trying to help the people kind of rise up with me, kind of like what you're doing on the podcast here.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, do you have any advice for someone who feels like that they're too shy or they don't know what to say on the phones if they're talking to agents or even sellers?
um This can go kind of twofold. My best advice, honestly, would be to, if you want to get the jitters out, like find somebody that you can role play with. Because I think one that puts you in a spotlight where you have to role play in front of somebody else and you're being graded on your performance in a way. All right. Most people that you role play with will actually be probably a lot harder than the agents that you really talk with because they know you and they're intentionally trying to throw you off your games. That way you can, work on your weaknesses that way. So if you can find somebody to role play with, and practice just listing down what problems somebody on like your motivation list might have, whether that's low equity, tired landlord, foreclosure, probate, like what problems do these guys go through, and practice asking questions to uh, uncover that pain, as people like to say. So it's just, what about this is getting under your skin? What's the challenge with getting this sold and that type of thing? So role play and ask those open-ended questions. What, who, what, why, how is this affecting you? That type of thing at a very broad level.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Cool. Cool. So, I think it's safe to say, from what it sounds like right now, you're mainly focusing on becoming more of a salesperson. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time focusing on sales recently for sure.
Okay. So, for someone who, say, they just decided, you know what, maybe real estate's a good way, or anything really,
Hmm.
why? Oh, I guess I got a two-part question. One, how do you combat the kind of negative rap that being a salesman gets? And then on the flip side of that, or same side of the coin, I guess, is how do you reframe your thinking so that you understand that sales is an important part of life, pretty much?
Hmm. Gotcha. So basically, how am I okay with being, the sales guy that people in movies think is pretty sleazy or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah, there
Um,
you go.
and I guess that's the difference between what it is in reality when you're trying to really solve somebody's problem versus make a quick buck. I feel like a lot of people understand salesmen to be the people that will do whatever it takes to make a buck. But I think the biggest shift for me is that, you know, from what I'm learning about sales, in reality, you're just trying to uncover a problem and then see if you're the right solution. And then if you're not, point that person towards someone who may be a good solution for them. Because the last thing you want is for them to have remorse because, you know, On the flip side, let's say they're happy that they worked with you. They're going to recommend people to you and bring in future business and all that stuff. But people don't think about that, right? Like it's a long-term thing. You want to make people happy and solve their problems. And, as a salesman, you know, there's a variety of books. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said it. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So it's that mentality of putting people first and not even worrying about the returns because they'll just come naturally if you help enough people. Um, so that's kind of how I got past it. And then in a technical or I guess objective sense, I mean, if you think about business itself, like everything else is an expense in a business. Salespeople are the only people that make the company money because they're the ones that are getting people to buy, whether that's like marketing or, copywriting, like whatever type font you see on a page. It's like, hey, do you want to, I don't know, get a nice big ring for your spouse and make them happy forever? The people that write that stuff, like that's sales. Like you're selling people a result based on a problem that they might have. And that's how you do business, right? It's an exchange of money for a solution to something. So, I mean, either way, they're necessary, whether it's just genuinely trying to help people or just getting a business to actually revolve. And that's kind of how I view it and kind of what got me over that hump of being like the super aggressive used car salesman, people like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I know for me, one of the things that changed my outlook on it is the fact that you can't really get away from sales.
You can't.
No matter what you're doing. Like for me, I work at a fire department.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been asked in the past, like, what is, how are your customer service skills? And I'm like, I've never worked in a customer service job. I don't know. And it wasn't until one of my lieutenants at the time was like, you realize our job is all customer service. We show up at a house, and we've got to put on customer service reps to those people while we're helping them with their situation. So understanding that throughout your life, basically, if you want anything, you've kind of got to be a salesperson in a sense. Not necessarily every time, but like, if you're trying to buy something, obviously you've got people being sales towards you. But if, say, you want money, you go to get a job, you've got to sell yourself to your job for them to hire you, right? So it's all these little things. That's kind of what changed my mentality on it. So, sorry, that was a little tangent.
No, you're good, man. I love it.
Is
I can expand on that too if you'd like, or we can keep
go for
pushing.
it. Yeah, this
No, yeah.
show's all about you, Jamie.
Oh, dude, I want it to be about both of us, dude. I love the discussion. No, yeah, like I think you're 100% right. Like whether it's customer service or trying to make a buck or convincing your kids to do something this way versus the other way, or bringing out your partner to a place to eat or something like that. Like it's literally everywhere. Sales is just being able to get your point across, I think, in a efficient manner at like the really high level. And I feel like that's what asking the right questions allows you to do. Allows you to highlight things that you want and things that the person you're talking to might also want at the same time and see if it aligns. Ooh, the voice crack. So yeah, I 100% agree. Like firefighting, real estate, whether you're at retail, you're at home talking to your parents, your sisters, anybody, right? Like everything is about sales. Either you're selling or you're being sold on something.
Yeah, you said asking the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna ask you like what are the right questions, but how often would you say that people actually ask the right questions?
It's hard to say. I've known some people that are, I think, natural conversationalists. Like they kind of see a lot of the implications of what people are saying and know how to direct a conversation. And then I've also seen people on the other side where I'm like, you're asking a question that's not relevant to finding a problem or solution for this person's particular type of pain. Um, so I really think it kind of depends on experience. But if I were to take a stab at it, I'd say that there's probably most people probably don't ask the right questions in a way, which to me, I know right questions is a very vague, like broad term, right? Like I was in the boat, like, what the heck does that mean? And to me, the right questions is just like, if Corey has an issue, for example, he's like, man, I really want to start a podcast. But what's something is like stopping me from doing it. I don't know what it is, um, to me, in my opinion, like a wrong question in that example would be like, well, what kind of gear do you have? Or, what kind of camera are you using? What kind of software are you editing with? Because that doesn't address what he's feeling about starting the podcast. To me, the right question in that situation might be like, okay, well, what are you hoping to get out of the podcast? If you start the podcast, um, what is the best case scenario? And then what happens if you don't start the podcast and you're stuck wondering what if, like, how would that make you feel? Like that type of thing.
Okay.
But you've obviously started the podcast and you're kicking butt on your own. So
Well, I appreciate that. Well, let's go ahead and got a few questions for you.
shoot.
So first off, you kind of already hinted at it, but what really drove that decision for you to be on the podcast today?
Yeah. So a lot of it, I think, our goals are aligned. I think a lot of people share the sentiment of wanting to find a community of people and focus on self improvement and putting your name out there. So that way, well, one, it just feels nice to know people, and two, it helps with like brand and that kind of stuff. So I was like, let me hop on with Corey. We can have a good talk. We're buds, and yeah, I thought it would just be a good time to have like an open discussion or something like that.
Awesome. Well, this one might be silly, but I've asked it every time. So why aren't we doing business together?
Gotcha. For the audience, he says that might be silly because we actually do business together. Corey is, we do outreach together for agents in the markets I mentioned, but in in a much more, I guess, personal or individual sense. Um, I guess I would say it's because we're both still learning so much before we're like the big dogs making like crazy partnering decisions and stuff right now. We're both still very much on the come up.
Mhm.
Um, but for all intents and purposes, we're partners in a way, but um, yeah, we're still leveling up right now. I'd say is probably the reason.
That's a fantastic way to put it, leveling up. I love that.
Mhm.
So, Jamie, what are your strengths, whether in personal life or in business?
Um, I think I'd say one of my big strengths is, I guess this might be a weakness too. Sometimes I can be a bit stubborn, but I think what the benefit that comes from that is that, sometimes, getting into this stuff can be really challenging. Doing anything like whether it's solo entrepreneurship or getting into like a new hobby like piano or something. Um, it takes a lot of persistence to stick with it. And, I hate the idea of somebody being like, well, yeah, that was a silly thing you were doing anyway. I knew it wouldn't go anywhere. And like just the idea of that, I'm like, oh, I want to be steadfast against that type of stuff. And I do it to myself. So that's the even sillier part, because a lot of the people I talk to actually root for me. So I don't have any haters, but not yet at least. But um yeah, I'd say like I just keep going, I keep pushing through. Some days, sometimes that's like way up here, I can do it real like a lot. Other days it's way down here, but just keeping that vision and trying to reach it as best as I can, I think is persistently, I think is, I think that's a pretty decent strength to have.
Yeah, yeah. I would I offer a little bit maybe of an unpopular opinion here, but I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, you hear all these stories about what CEOs or people who are crushing it, that they're like, oh, I'm fueled by the hate I get, basically, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, I don't have that. So sometimes I actually have to create it in my mind and be like, oh yeah, well, Jamie, he didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure he was thinking I couldn't do this, so I'm gonna show him. Like, you know,
Oh
gotta
man.
gotta do that. If you haven't lived this for the audience, if you haven't lived a hard life, haven't been dealt traumas and all that stuff, that's your own form of struggle. Because that's my form of struggle. I'm way too comfortable. I've got to get uncomfortable. So, yeah, anyways, moving on.
No, that's funny. I like that.
So we've got that listed as a strength.
Hmm.
Um, I would restructure that into, say, you're more driven,
Okay, that's
right?
fair.
It's not necessarily stubborn, but it's, you see the vision and you decide to push on towards it, in a way that's driven. So then on the flip side of that, what would you say your weakness is?
Mm, I guess this is where I could say stubborn, because sometimes, and I'm still working on this. Sometimes I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting it, but in reality, we're all, at least in my opinion, we should all be students, like for our whole lives. Like we're always learning. There's always one way to get better. But I'll have those moments where I get comfortable and I'm like, okay, I get it. And then things start to kind of slip. And it happens more often than I'd like to admit. Um, I'd say probably that. And yeah, sometimes I think as much as I, kind of know what I want, which is what a lot of people want, right? Like money, time, freedom. Um, Sometimes I don't take the time to really like spell it out and create like a path. So that way I can communicate it, to myself and to other people. Um, and I think that slows me down a lot. And, I'll catch it and I'll be like, okay, let me start doing this. And then the bug kind of creeps back in. It's like, okay, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to get it. And then I stop doing it. And then I start doing it again. And then I stop doing it. And it's something I'm definitely trying to break right now.
Well, I gotta ask.
Do it.
So we're both doing 75 hard.
Hmm.
So have you had to restart?
I've had to restart.
Okay.
I have had to restart. There was
So
a
that
day I
means,
didn't do my walk and I was like, no. So
yeah,
yeah.
it happens. But that's one of the beauties of this program,
Hmm.
is that it teaches you to pay attention to those details. And actually, my wife and I were talking about this in just regards to life in general. But a lot of people think that you're climbing a mountain, right? You're pushing towards something. Once you decide what mountain you want to climb, you start climbing it. And you think you're going to get to a peak. And that's all people focus on, is that peak. But if it's really just a mountain and you're actually at the peak, what's on the other side? It's all
A
downhill.
cliff.
Well, hopefully not just straight drop,
Or
but
yeah.
yeah, it's downhill, and you basically end up on the same level that you were, maybe, right? But what we're realizing, because this is the second year that we've done 75 hard, what we're realizing is that it's not actually a peak, but like you go up the mountain and you get to a ledge. and then it continues up. And you realize, oh, I got to keep climbing. I'm not there. You keep climbing. You keep climbing. If at any point you're like, you know what, I'm good here, and you stop, just because your legs stop moving, you actually start sliding back down. So you got to keep pushing up. So that's what I see, that what you're going through, where you feel like you got it. You feel like you hit a point where you can stop, and then you start sliding back down. And you're like, oh, crap, I got to get back up there.
Yeah.
So the beauty, well, it's beauty when you change your mindset. The beauty is that you never stop climbing. You're never going to reach the peak. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
As long as you don't stop, you're going to be miles away from where you started.
Heck yeah, 100%, man, 100%. You know, it's one of those things that I feel like you just got to create the evidence for it to start to believe it. And yeah, I'm still right now working on creating that evidence. You know, I don't know if you watch Alex Hormozy, but one thing he says is like a lot of the confidence comes from having a stack of irrefutable proof that you've done the thing. And yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Still, a lot of what I'm working on. Does that make sense?
And I actually, I have my little brother. He's supposed to be doing 75 hard as well.
Okay.
I'm on I think today's day 30, and he's on day 2 again for like the 30th time. So I understand he doesn't have one. He's kind of restricted. He's in high school. So his time's a little different, but one thing I recommended to him is because he doesn't have a whole lot of confidence. I'm not naming his name, but I'm also not trying to trash talk him, like just being real. What I recommended, and this might help you along with 75 hard or anything else, you could do it something else, is take a piece of paper and write down those things that you have to do. It's another way of saying the power list, right? You write down those things you have to do. And then as you do them, mark them off. And once you complete all those tasks, put a W on the paper, and then like tack it to the wall or tape it to the wall or whatever, or put it somewhere that you'll see it. And as you do that every day, suddenly you'll have a wall filled with wins, and you'll be like, oh man, I got this. But kind of like what he said is, if you have irrefutable proof, it's right there on the wall. You know that you can do this. So,
heck yeah, I love that. It's just having the visual aid, I think, would be actually a crazy like mental boost, because then it's like, man, like you said, and then I look up and I just see the swash of pink, blue, yellow sticky notes. I'm like, wait a second, that's me.
Yep, that's you.
Love that. I love that idea.
All right, so let's bring it back a little bit. What would you need help with that could make you money in the next 30 days?
I think one of my, as far as working with other people, I think one of the biggest things I could definitely use is just building out my network right now. I've talked to a handful of local title companies that some of the big hitters, use here. Actually reconnected with somebody I went to college with. They became a realtor and they live up in the Woodlands. And, I was like, oh crap, I invest here in Houston. Let's have a conversation, see if we can help each other. And she was really receptive to learning about creative, which was really cool. But to answer the question, yeah, I guess it would just be expanding the network, finding agents to work with, finding title companies that are open to Subto in a variety of markets that, understand the process, and ultimately just finding a bunch of problem solvers that understand like the pipeline of acquiring something creatively, doing the paperwork and getting through, and a lot of, those hidden bugs that can pop up in a lot of these unique situations. Just getting the network and then getting the knowledge, I'd say is definitely what I need a lot of help with right now.
All right. Well, you hear that. If you're an agent, if you work for a title company, if you know somebody who's an agent or works for a title company or a closing attorney, reach out to Jamie. He's over here.
Heck yeah.
All right. Let's get together. And honestly, like, I want to have you on the show as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let's connect. Let's do deals together. What markets did you say? I know you said Texas. Are there any other markets that we are looking in?
Yeah, right now it's Houston, San Antonio, and DFW in Texas. We're in Vegas, Nevada, and then I have to double check. I believe we're in Florida. Either
I believe
Orlando,
it's Southern
Miami, or
Florida.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to check because we just opened up there. But yeah, we're in Florida as well.
All right. So if you're one of those markets and you're an agent or a part of a title company, reach out to either me or Jamie over here, and let's do business. So then that being said, I see I've got my name here. I got to remember which side you're on now.
No, yes.
That handle, is that just Instagram, or is that everything?
It's everything. Jamie dot middle initial last name. That's my YouTube. If you do like youtube.com/@Jamie R. Lozada. That's my Instagram. And I have a couple TikTok videos up as well. They all use that same handle. Try to keep it consistent.
There you go. There you go. Well, all right. Anything else you want to chat about before I close this thing up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, outside of what we talked about, I think I'm good, Corey.
All right, Jamie, I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me, and
of course,
we'll get you on later down the road, see what progress we made.
Heck yeah, dude, I love it. Thanks for having me on, by the way, Corey. Yeah, I think this is awesome what you're doing, and to the audience, the people that are coming along, I think you're in the right place at the right time. Give it a few more years, right? And this man Corey over here, he's taking some serious action right now. I think he's gonna make a real name for himself. And you guys are in at the right time. You guys start now, you guys will rise up with him. And I think that's pretty motivating and awesome.
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Jamie. Well, I'm gonna send you back, and I'm gonna have a chat with this audience.
All right, stay safe, guys.
All right, guys. Well, that was our show. I hope you enjoyed Jamie. I know I did. I love talking to him. He's got a lot of knowledge, especially when it comes to sales and stuff like that. So, like and subscribe. Come see the other videos. Hang out with me. Comment. Hang out with me. I want you on the show. Like, I'll just be straight up honest. I want you on the show. It doesn't matter if you're in real estate, if you have a business, if you're just thinking about doing business, real estate, or anything else. I wanted you on the show. I want connections, and I want to be able to connect you with other people that are going to help you grow. So, that being said, till next time, hope you'll have a wonderful week.